What's up, y'all? I'm back with another edition of the State of Bitcoin podcast. But before this video gets rolling, just a forewarning, it was an in-person interview with Wes, and it was a new studio. I had not been there before, neither had Wes. So we were testing things out. We were recording the video. We had video of both of us for the first 30 minutes. And then the last 30-ish minutes is just you looking up at me. So I apologize for that. I'm also looking for potentially a producer or somebody that's looking to help out with some reels or shorts or other things like that. So if you're interested in doing anything in that like that, please hit me up at greencandleit@gmail.com or hit me up in the DMs or somewhere else. So now enough of me with this. Let's get into the episode. Whoosh. Hello, bing bong. I'm back with another edition of the State of Bitcoin podcast. But first, I'd like to thank my sponsors. The biggest Bitcoin conference in the world, Bitcoin Miami, is less than a week away now, and tickets are going on sale, or not going on sale. Tickets are getting more expensive tomorrow. So if you want to join Wesley and I, who is also here joining me at Bitcoin Miami, use promo code Green Candle, all caps, or use the link in the show notes below in order to get 10% off of your entire ticket purchase. You can save that 10%, use it to stack some more sats, and join a bunch of Bitcoiners in Miami and party it up. And lastly, shout out to Codl Co. That's CODL.co for the best punch plates in the game. That's Codl Storage. They've been battle tested through thick and thin. So get your Bitcoin off an exchange. We've seen Binance hit some bumps in the road lately. We've seen Celsius, BlockFi, all these other exchanges already go down. Don't be the next one to get caught in this. Take your Bitcoin off an exchange and store that seed phrase with a punch plate from Codl.co. Now, with my very special guest, we're working on this podcast setup here. It's a kind of a road game, I guess, but not really. So, Wes, man, how you doing today?
I'm doing well, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, of course. It's weird for me because I'm not gonna lie, I have my camera just looking at me right now, but we're getting the recording from this side over here, so we got the two cameras on us. It looks like a legit setup, but yeah, man, how you doing today?
Doing well. It's busy.
Yeah,
but that's what happens when you're trying to run, one of the coolest Bitcoin meetups in the country.
Yeah, there we go. So for those who don't know you yet, tell us a little bit about yourself and what drove you to start this Bitcoin Bay meetup.
Yeah, so I'm Wesley. I'm the executive director of Bitcoin Bay. I didn't technically actually found it. Ben, who you've already had on, came out of his Bit Devs. I just showed up one day. Became best friends with him, with another couple of guys. He decided he wanted to run off and go be a nomad for a couple of months in the summer. And the rest of us were like, well, we want to keep doing this. And then I was like, I'll take over BitDevs. And then I think Taproot had just come out. And I'm like, yeah, I'll just learn about Taproot like 30 minutes before we're supposed to go on or go out. And I'm like, we're doing 101 today. We're going over what are wallets, stuff like that. Because what we had realized was that everything was going over everyone's head. He'd be up there, and I'd be taking notes because it's going over my head too, but I'm trying to capture it. But like everyone else, they got the glazed eyes because it was, I think, probably 65 grand a coin. Gas was like $4.69 like a gallon. So people were like wanting to learn more, and then probably got spooked away from the BitDev stuff. So we pivoted into that and then started doing weekly meetups. Since then, it's been about a year of that. So we've had 209 meetups in the past year, if you include our business workshop that we had at the same place we're recording. And I count it. So
yeah,
we've gone from 6 people to 75 in our meetup chat now. And, we have 3 distinct meetups in the Bay Area. We've got St. Pete, Sarasota, and then Tampa. We're going to have Riverview here in another couple months.
Oh, wow,
in
really?
June. Yeah. So I guess not a couple months. In less than a month, June 8th, we're going to be having a Sound Money and Sound Food social event down over in Fishhawk.
Nice.
So we're very excited about that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. So, all right. So tell us, I don't know if you need to go, if you want to go into the deep rooted, like Wesley, like where are you from?
Mhm.
Like why, why is there so much push behind this? Cause I mean, I was talking to Ben, and when I talked to him, like I didn't even know he wasn't from here, but he felt a lot of like, I
Mhm.
guess pride for the Tampa Bay area.
Mhm.
And it seems like you feel the same way. Are you from the Tampa area? And yeah, like why kind of, I guess, try to build this up here?
Yeah, I'm born and raised
Mm.
in the Riverview area. I moved into Tampa during high school, and then went to school in Boston for a couple of years, and then lived there through COVID. Moved back home in late 21 and joined up with the Bit Devs in January 22.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, Ben does have pride now. He is a Florida man. He might not be. I tell him he's not flow grown, but he is salt life.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, no, I mean, I had no idea this is what I'd be doing. I went to school for chemical and biological engineering. I worked in biotech research, like on mRNA and stuff like that, and was like,
Oh.
oh,
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
So I had to get out of there. And just finding the Bitcoin people, it was like, especially coming from Boston at that time, I was like, wow, a whole group of people who don't want to kill me.
I mean, it's hilarious too. I mean, because I have a buddy too here, just like kind of anecdotally, who like got a job in Boston, and he was living in Boston, and then his cousin was down here. And so during COVID, he traveled down here and just stayed down here because everything in Boston was just like, patient zero, sort of, so to speak. So it was pretty locked down. But, coming from Tampa and like growing up, the city here has changed. I mean, I've been here for 4.5 years. It's changed dramatically since I've been here.
Yeah.
So I can't even imagine what it's like been for you. Kind of describe some of that. And, how do you think, I mean, Gabe's been running the Tampa Bay Bitcoin meetup here since 2013 time. So it's been going on for 10 years. But it seems like you guys have a lot of momentum, behind the Bitcoin Bay, kind of like branching off a little bit on that aspect of things. So, how do you see Tampa growing, and where do you see, I guess, Bitcoin kind of mixing into the fold in that?
Yeah, no. So I mean, I grew up, like I said, out in Riverview, so about 45-hour east, depending on traffic. And it was nothing but cow farms whenever I was growing up, and then now it's nothing but housing developments. So it's been, unfortunate to see, all the Yankees moving down here and taking up my land.
Yeah, exactly.
But as I've come to realize, a lot of them are being driven down here, from people like living in Boston, like for the same reasons that I left. So it's been a nice ideological self-segregation. So I can't hate on them too much. My prices are a lot higher because
yeah, unfortunately.
But it's all right. We got to take what if we didn't have that, it wouldn't have been. So
Yeah.
wouldn't have had Bit Devs. But yeah, Gabe's been doing the Tampa Bay Bitcoineers meetup since I think 2013. I think he hit his 500th meetup recently, maybe the 600th. He's kind of including us in that. So
Yeah.
it's fine. We'll we're all on the same team. But yeah, so Ben spun Bit Devs out of that one because he was looking for something a little more technical, trying to attract some devs, making it Bitcoin only. And then so we came in, and I'm like, well, this is awesome. And I was coming in freshly spooked from supply chain collapse and the world's ending, blah blah. I'm like, okay, I need to get the beef. Like they're gonna tell us they're eating bugs, they're not gonna be able to eat beef. I'm like, I need to get the ranchers. And if I can keep the city fed, I can keep it from eating itself alive. Like one man can do that. One 25-year-old at the time could do that. So we are a much more action-oriented group. We don't do any online meetups. We don't do any video chats. I think that there's like three of a month are online and one is in person. We have weekly in person, and we do another one on the weekends, community service, family event, or business workshop. So we're really focused on local in-person action. If it's not here, it has to be in the Bay. That's the only chance we have at making an actual difference, is focusing locally. And, this is my home, and a lot of other people in the group, it's their home as well. And like, I'm not going anywhere. Like I already left once. I'm not making that mistake again. So either they arrest us or we succeed.
Yeah, I mean, and it's awesome to see, as somebody who's kind of like moved in. I mean, I grew up in Austin, so I've seen that kind of development in my own hometown. And personally, I love all the people at Pleb Lab and like what's going on there.
Yeah, they're
But I
great
think,
guys over there.
yeah, I think as far as like the city goes, I think like the development and kind of like, the policies and all that kind of stuff has turned the downtown and areas that I grew up in, I really did love,
Mm-hmm.
kind of in a bad direction. So I'm hoping that, as it kind of continues to go and more people boom there, that it takes another turn.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it seems like Tampa, everything's going positive. Maybe I'm just an ignorant guy that's moving in, but the one thing that I am kind of worried about, and I'd like to hear a little bit of your opinion on, is like essentially like Water Street, right? That big development, they've come all in, but we, as Tampanians, I don't know how you want to kind of say it, but as Tampanians know, it basically is all funded by Bill Gates,
Yep.
who obviously, owns majority of the farmland in the United States, but also is a big investor in, eating bugs and all that kind of stuff, like force feeding that down our throats. So with somebody who owns that big of a property, or not property, but I guess area
It's
of a
acreage.
city. Yeah. He owns like a decent amount of spot in downtown Tampa. He's going to have a lot of influence. Does that, I guess, kind of worry you as much as it somewhat worries me, like going forward?
Well, it pisses me off. Yeah, no, I hate Water Street. There's a bunch of fancy new high rises and expensive restaurants and cute little walking areas and very everyone's welcome here kind of things all over the place. And it's not Tampa. Like it's anywhere. It could be, I call it globalist gray. Like
Yeah.
it can be in Boston or New York, or it's nothing. So I hate seeing city, like our city is a Spanish city. A lot of it was the old cigar stuff with Cuba. That's our heritage. That's our culture. And I hate seeing things that actually have architecture getting torn down and getting put back up as just gray blocks.
Yeah.
And the price raises 50%. So, the goal is to just make enough money to buy it or bulldoze it. If Bitcoin is going to do the things we think it will, hopefully, we can bankrupt them and take their stuff before they, that tumor metastasizes into the rest of the city.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, because, like, I mean, they look like nice restaurants and other things like that, but yeah, I mean, it just looks like, I don't know. They kind of did a similar thing in College Station where I went to school, like Texas A&M. They made like a little square, and all of it, it's just the same kind of like gray on the outside kind of thing, like nicer new, nicer new buildings. They look quote unquote modern and all that kind of stuff. But you go to Ybor, you see Columbia, which has been there for over 100 years.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's an awesome restaurant.
Yeah, highly recommend if anybody's ever in town. But there's a bunch of like local places like that where that's where I'm kind of worried, because I've seen Austin kind of get away from the eat local, do all that kind of stuff, but I think that really is what brings the flavor to the city. So I mean, obviously you guys are trying to and I've participated by purchasing a beef initiative box, and I'm going to continue to do that as well, but you guys are trying to bring that local, I guess, flavor to things. But, as with COVID and everything with the shutdowns and everything, even though Tampa stayed fairly open compared to the rest of the country, it seems like a lot of those small businesses have, really took a beating. So what I'm really happy that you guys did was a business workshop. So tell us a little bit about the motivation behind that. And how did you think it went?
It exceeded expectations.
Okay.
Which for our very first event that we ever threw, which was a lot of work. I mean, we got sponsors, huge shout out to our sponsors, especially Trey over at Unchained. He's an awesome guy.
Yeah. Why don't you go ahead and shout out the sponsors? So we got Unchained.
We had Unchained, Satoshi's Coffee, Echo Bridge, which is an animation company that one of our guys owns, Block Spaces, which is a local Tampa company.
Who
Coin Flip. Yes, Gabe owns Block Spaces. Ben is in Block Spaces. That's where we kind of got the bit devs. Coin Flip was a big sponsor, and then Hash Roots, if everyone's seen Barn Miner on Twitter, and then where we're at right now, they are continuing to sponsor us with free stuff. But they were our event sponsor, Real Freedom Collab. Yeah. So I'm
shout out to them.
That was it. Sorry if I missed a new one.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, but anyway, so the business workshop, what was it?
Yeah.
Just give it like a bird's eye view, kind of. You obviously we don't have to dive into all the
Right.
specifics of it, but what was it?
Yeah. So local businesses, we had about 30 tickets sold from local businesses, not including our own. What is money? What is Bitcoin? We had Michael Atwood from Oshi talk to us, about onboarding businesses. We were demonstrating the new tools and the process that a business goes through, like to accept Bitcoin. Blockspaces has their Lightning Connect product, which integrates QuickBooks and other accounting services on the Bitcoin network. So it does your cost basis at the time and does the accounting stuff for you. We had Joe Wood of Satoshi Pacioli accounting come and talk about all that stuff, and everyone was very into talking to him because that's everyone's biggest thing is taxes and accounting in businesses. So basically, and we talk about unchained like storage solutions and whatnot. So I mean, basically, we were trying to showcase the tools of Bitcoin that are in Bitcoin to businesses. And we got a lot of positive feedback, got some good testimonials from it. So we're definitely going to, keep trying to push that. But the motivation there was, if they're pushing CBDCs, we're not going to use them. I need my beef, which is why we did the Florida Beef Initiative. Shout out to June Boogie.
Shout out June.
Yeah. So we've got the beef taken care of. We can get ourselves fed, but I need mechanics. I need plumbers. We need construction guys. So trying to create, which we do now have a business director. We have 15 businesses on it. But what we need to do is just get essentially the minimum viable product of a circular economy in the Bay Area. So you need just like the basic requirements met. We need like a local grocery store, a dentist, a primary care physician. People that if people are moving down here, Bitcoiners are moving down here since we're doing such a fantastic job building Bitcoin Bay. Why wouldn't you want to move down here?
Exactly.
So when they do come down and you need a realtor or a home or a mortgage broker, you need a cabinet refinisher. Like we have that. We have those in our network. Use them, pay them in Bitcoin, keep it in the local area. They're not going to sell it for dollars. So that's the big thing we want to make sure is the business aren't selling them for dollars just on the back end. Because I'm like, I'll just give you the freaking dollars. I'll save us both the time and effort here. Keep my sats if you're just going to get rid of them. So basically, I mean, we're an education group. We're filing for our nonprofit status here very soon. So our big push is, I mean, we're trying to become the brain of Bitcoin in Tampa. So it's kind of feels like we're doing everything everywhere all at once. Because we are. So, the businesses are just one aspect of it. We're getting it started with middle and high school boot camps for kids, just like an after school 3-hour or like on the weekend program. What is money? What is Bitcoin? What's a wallet? How do you send, receive, backup, restore? Here's how you use RoboSats.
Yeah.
So that way it's just meant to be a crash course, but get them interested. We want to start sponsoring the foundings of local clubs. Like here's $200 in Bitcoin, start a Bitcoin club, use it to buy some banners or whatever, or practice sending, receiving transactions. We're getting involved with University of Tampa. It's still a crypto club right now, but I'm not going to be picky with our allies. They are Bitcoin and ETH only. So I'm like, you know what? You're almost there. So we're going to be doing some guest lectures over there, talking about Bitcoin and privacy. Stuff like that. So we're very excited for this year. There's a lot in the docket. We're working on.
Yeah. So tell me about the partnerships with like schools and professors. Cause I mean, you don't have to name it by name or anything. And I know, you're still developing all that kind of stuff, but what's the end goal with that? And, obviously, schools, the current financial system or not financial educational system doesn't really teach people about, what is money, right, like the economics and all that kind of stuff. They, teach, the fiat kind of monetary policy as we've all kind of come to know. And, all of us have gone down that rabbit hole and kind of seen that. So, how has it been, I guess, how has the response been when you've approached professors or teachers or, principals or whatever, when you're kind of telling them that and you're almost like unraveling their kind of beliefs? Is that like kind of the response, or are you getting, I guess, more people who are like, hey, we understand what is going on here. And yeah.
Yeah, it definitely depends on where we've been. The administrators are friendly up front and then unhelpful on the back end.
What do you mean by that?
Just like, oh yeah, that sounds great. And then radio silence comes. We're like, okay, well, let's execute.
Yeah.
From the professors we talked to at UT, yeah, I'm not gonna name them because I don't want to put them on blast, but like it's academia, everyone knows about academia and no one likes it unless you are profiting from it. So that's been a lot of the work we need to do. That's why we start with everything we do. We start with what is money, then what is Bitcoin, because no one teaches what is money. Some of these schools, like the one I went to, had like a financial literacy requirement. So like you had to take like extracurricular, you meet with a teacher during lunch, study hall or after school or whatever. What's investing, what's compounding interest, what's a 401k, that stuff. So I came back and I was like, hey, well, I want to update that. I did the things you told me to do in the world's longest bull market where you couldn't lose money.
Yeah.
Things have changed now. I want to come and update this. And then we're like, oh, wow. Yeah. It's great. But then when things have happened and nothing happened.
Yeah. So, when you're like, hey, I'm about that action, boss, they're not about it. So
not a lot of people are about that action.
Yeah.
But finding the people who are, and then just focusing on them. So that's why we're going to stick with UT, because we've got a guy like the professor there. He's great. His kids love him. He's our guy essentially, with all of the ethos of our movement. So we're really gonna be drilling down with them first, and then just building, and then using that as proof. So supporting our guys whenever we find them, and then building out from there. We're going to be trying to do some, so the goal is, get them started in middle school, educate them more in high school. If they go to one of the colleges in the area that we're supporting at, further that, give them internships. We actually did get an internship from UT. She's helping us with the social media
nice.
And marketing efforts. So, providing internships for kids, like I said, funding clubs, maybe doing scholarships. Creating connections for everyone. Just fostering that relationship, just building essentially that consumer base, because we want to, we can have a program like, hey, you onboard a business, you get $50 in Bitcoin, or, you send them to me and we'll close it. And if we close, then you get some money for that. So incentivizing like college students to like go and like orange pill their local bars. And then now all the college students have money to have Bitcoin to spend. The businesses have people that are going to them that want to spend it, so we can actually create that chicken and the egg at the same time, where there's no one taking it, there's no one spending it. So if we just educate, if we start in middle school, like every 2 years, essentially, we're going to be popping out a new crop of kids, because they're going to move up a level, and then they're going to move up a level, and then they're going to be out in the workforce. So, this is a long plan. Like I said, this is my home and I'm not freaking leaving.
Yeah.
So like we're crafting a 30-year plan right now. I've got like our 1-year plan kind of down, and then, so this is going to take a while. I'm just not going to, it might not happen quick enough. Things don't always move as fast as we would like. But that's kind of our goal there.
Yeah. Of course, like sometimes, the way that, Bitcoin develops, or just like people on the internet, they kind of want that like, quick satisfaction. But, the one big thing that Bitcoin teaches us is like, widen your time horizon,
Mm-hmm.
right? Even though there's these like, quote unquote 4-year cycles or whatever, and we see that people getting the moons or whatever, like,
Mm-hmm.
Especially early on in the Bitcoin, I guess, world, so to speak, where we saw people just get these, 10x returns or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't seem like maybe that's going to be the case going forward. I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe I'm a bear, but I think like maybe it might start to be a little bit slower of a move up, unless, who knows what's going to go on with the current monetary policy. If there's more printing, I'm sure we'll see some more crazy, I guess, price action, so to speak. But I want to get away from price action.
Mm-hmm.
Because it seems like that's kind of, I don't know, a driver when it comes to attention.
Mm-hmm.
But how has it been going, kind of approaching all these businesses and approaching these things when it's, kind of been a bear market? We've been like floating around this 20 to 30K range for a decent amount of time. And it seems like that's when you guys have kind of like, I don't know. That's when I found y'all, and I found, not too long ago. because of Barn Miner who heard me on Thriller. So shout out to Carr and those guys at Pleb Lab. But yeah, so how has that been going, approaching them with that when it's not necessarily mooning and taking off? And yeah.
Well, I mean, it's also the stability has been kind of helpful, especially saying, well, we're up 80%, from the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Like, wait, what? Like, I keep hearing all the time, oh, I thought crypto was dead. I'm like, no, it is. Bitcoin's not, though.
Yeah.
They're like, wait, what? So we are still so flipping early.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Short answer on that one. But yeah, I mean, like we've got like bartenders in the area taking their tips in Bitcoin. If you ever go down to Water and Flower on Howard, Brandon's got a Moon wallet.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I know Brandon very well. Yeah. So when I first moved, that is anecdotal story, but I used to live right down the street from there. So anytime I would go to eat, they have great happy hours there. So
Taco Tuesday happy hours, one of the best on the strip.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And
actually it's terrible. It's really packed, so no one should go anymore.
Yeah. I mean, the one problem is like that when I first moved down here, the tacos were like $2 a taco. Now I think they're like $3.50. It's ridiculous.
It's $3.
Yeah.
It's
50% increase. Thanks, Joe Biden.
Yeah, it's been tough, because I mean we've been here they almost actually stopped that promotion, but my friends and family, my parents literally lived like behind it.
Oh yeah.
So we would go there all the time, and we like threw a fit, and they're like, "Oh, okay, fine, we'll keep it."
Yeah,
but it's $3 now.
Oh man.
I'm like, all right, whatever.
Tough.
Yeah. But anyways, you can tip him. You can tip him Bitcoin. I got my Moon wallet, and we've been tipping him since $15,000. So it's been only up for him. So he loves it now. So that's kind of been a lot more of like what the adoption's been like. It's just like on the personal level, just bartenders like, hey, can I tip you in Bitcoin? Like, yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah.
So like the individuals are typically, I do help run farmers markets sometimes. So I'll be doing a booth and I'll be like, hey, I want to pay cash, card, Bitcoin, and then like 90% of them laugh. About the remaining 9% are like, wait, you still want that? I'm just like, you have no idea what you're talking about if you think that the price is low, that I wouldn't want it. Like, I want it more from you now. And then like every now and then 1% people are like, oh, okay, what do you mean? Like, how does this work? Especially whenever our guys are there, just hanging out, like they can talk to them while I'm doing other stuff. So we got a lot of work to do. We are an educational focused group. So we're going to continue to do, we meet weekly already. We're going to start pumping up a little bit of marketing efforts on those, expand our social media presence. To kind of help tackle that. I mean, that's what our interns are going to help us do.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's why it's going to be so important to get into the schools, because if we get middle schoolers on it and then they're starting with their parents and then now they're high schoolers and they still haven't lost all their money and like now they're in college and, so it's going to be a slow build. That's eventually just going to, it's the flippening.
Yeah, don't say that too loud over here, dude. You never know. I mean, there is like an ETH poster down the hall, right? So we can't.
Yes. Well, like I said, we can't be picky with our allies these days. We are losing the battle right now, so we need to ally where we can, especially when they give us free podcasting space.
Yeah, I know. So shout out to them. Yeah, yes. I mean, but in general, it seems like you guys are really, I guess, building. Very, you lined out the plan and everything like that, like kind of the vision for it overall. But I guess, what do you foresee, or do you have any like kind of like big hurdles that you've run into so far, or do you see like any potential issues? And then on the flip side of things, I'll ask you like right after, you can kind of get into it as well as like what has come a lot easier than you didn't really anticipate.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, some of the hurdles is just the time and money that's available to us. I mean, this is my full-time job now. It's no one else's full-time job. And we're not getting paid very well because we are a completely volunteer and free run group. So I'm sure, as the Pleb Lab guys know, and anyone who's started doing these things, it's when you want to offer all this stuff for free and then you start doing things and then I can't work because I'm doing this, it's trying to walk the line of financing the whole operation without grifting and exploiting our members and that stuff, So, I mean, that's one of the reasons why you've seen it, you're in the chat, but talking about launching the supporting members network. It's going to be like $30 a month or something like that. Just give you some merch. But that just like helps us, mostly right now get my bills paid. I have a mortgage and a car payment.
Yeah. Hey man, I get it.
You know, I will work for peanuts as long as I can keep my car in my house. But so we're gonna be doing stuff like that, and then we're probably like charging for like the boot camps. Like $200 a person, you get $100 worth of Bitcoin. So you're walking away with a decent, the decent size stack, and then using that to fund us. So the time and the money aspect has been probably the biggest hurdles, and finding the ways to monetize without like exploiting people. Like we don't like that's why we want to fund our file for our nonprofit status, is that way we can get those tax benefits, so we actually can offer these services at lower rates.
Yeah.
And make sure we're not pricing anyone out of learning about Bitcoin. I mean, we will never stop doing our free meetups. Like that's never going to stop. But just making sure that our guys can get paid, and I can pay other people to help me do this stuff, because I mean, this as for a one-man show, we've done pretty well. I mean, I'm not gonna say I've done this on my own. I mean, people like Allison and like Fabio and Ben have been huge helps, but like everyone else has jobs.
So. Hey man, I get it, dude. I'm a one-man show here too. Right, so yeah. I mean, I completely empathize with that. I mean, it's not easy just doing something like all by yourself. Mm-hmm. Can be kind of lonely too, and it's like, all right, like some of the hard. I mean, being an entrepreneur in general, mm-hmm. some of the hard days, when you're like, all right, is this actually going to work? Like, mm-hmm. am I putting all this effort in for what? Like, I don't know. Mm-hmm. You face a lot of like mental hurdles, which is kind of interesting, because I can't remember who I was talking to this about though recently, but it was like you kind of like face that like in sports, right? I mean, mm-hmm. I ran track in college, so it's kind of like individual. But like you also have the team around you where you're all facing the same thing, where like you and I, you're working on Bitcoin Bay. Obviously you have like a support group and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, you got to look yourself in the mirror and be like, all right, how can I do this better? And mm-hmm. it's like same thing with me and this. And so like some of those times it's really hard, because you're just, you're here like, all right, I'm working on this stuff. I'm going to meet with all these people, doing this all myself. And it's a full-time job. And then you're like, what am I doing at the end of it? Like, I'm working for scraps and stuff. I mean, it's all going to pay off eventually, eventually. That's kind of how I look at it, but it's definitely not easy. Yeah. And a lot of people want all this stuff, for free, and they want you to set all this stuff up for free. And it's tough, man. It's a grind. So, I guess, on like the easy aspects of it, it seems like you got a community of people here that are really behind you. Yeah. And so, I mean, I guess kind of talk about that, and talk about like the support that you have, I guess, from the local, not only just like, businesses and whatnot, but like just the community of just like, I guess, plebs around the area.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm super grateful for the local plebs. I mean, like I said, we've grown from like 6 people. Like, I mean, the smallest meetup I had was me, Fabio, our co-organizer, and then one guy. That was our smallest meetup we've ever had. But, I was there at 7:30 for our social, like I said I'd be. But now, I mean, we're outgrowing all of our spaces. People are coming. They're finding us naturally, finding us via word of mouth. A lot of the guys in the group have stepped up. And like, I mean, Allison built us a whole website for nothing. And, Steve, the owner of Echo Bridge, one of our early sponsors, has been doing some graphic design stuff for us. And just the community that's just formed naturally and organically around this has been awesome to see. So I love it. Because we're gonna have, I think, probably 10 guys going down to Miami. So now we got a squad going. Which if anyone's in the Bitcoin games, you better be better at chess than us, because everything else we've got locked down.
Oh yeah. Chess. You guys gotta find somebody to drive, and then just play like the online chess the whole time or something like that, right? Just to get the strategy down. Like watch some videos, listen to some chess podcasts or something, strategy wise. I don't know.
Yeah, one of our guys says he has some Google glasses he can whip ChatGPT up to, and I was like, all right, man, figure it out.
That would be hilarious.
But yeah, I mean, it's been great, because I mean, people offer what they can. What time they have. I mean, the ideas they have. I mean, like, our chat is super lively. Anytime a new person comes in and is asking questions, someone else is answering it. So there's a lot of grassroots stuff going on right now, and we have guys that are going out and talking to businesses and then sending them to me like, hey, like they want to talk. Yeah. So it's been awesome. Like, this is not a one-man show. Like, I'm not the boss. Everyone chooses to listen to what I say, for better or worse. I've found myself, like I said, I mean, I just went to the meetup a year and a half ago, and now I'm here.
Yeah. So, all right, let's take a step back. Let's dive into that a little bit, because you kind of like touched on it initially, but you obviously went to school for a little bit in Boston. So, I mean, the career path, right? It's wild. So, not only like what do you think about it, but what did your parents think about it? Like, how do they feel about you kind of going down this rabbit hole? Have you orange pilled them enough where they're like believing 100% what you're doing, or you're just kind of like, I don't know, the crazy out there kid, and you're like, all right, I just got to prove it to them, kind of thing.
Well, I definitely got what the heck we spend all that money for if you're not going to be using your degree? And I'm like, well, it kept me non-GMO'd. So, I think that's worth it. But yeah, no, I had no idea this is what I'd be doing. I worked I would lead like teams of 5, and I'd have my head in like a fume hood, or like, all day. Like that's like, I didn't talk to people.
Yeah.
Like, I think that was not like a social organizer. I never did any of that stuff. So I think it was my second semester junior year when I was taking reactor design. I wanted to build nuclear reactors. I was like, well, we need energy, and if like oil and gas are so bad and evil, we need to build nuclear. And because I got very disillusioned on solar and wind, because I learned the numbers behind them and how they work. They don't. Unless it's for your house on your farm in Idaho, if you're a put up a wind turbine. So I realized then when I took reactor design, they were all bioreactors. There was no nuclear reactors. I'm just being groomed to go work for big pharma. Yeah. And I was like, well, I've been a research assistant in a biotech lab for the past 2 years.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn it. So, after I graduated, I took a 50% pay cut and went and worked for a small material science startup trying to, build programmable link displays. But during COVID, I was like, this is not worth it. Yeah. I'm spending half of my rent. I've been spending half my paycheck on rent. I can't do anything. My friends have all lost their damn minds. My mom is sending me videos, Snapchats of them on the boat. We're socially distancing. And I'm walking to work in 14 inches of snow. People are yelling at me on the side of the street for not wearing a mask outside. And I'm like, it's us too. Yeah. That's it. There's no one here. So I started mining a little bit. Because back then it was like 65 grand a coin, and like the China thing had just happened. So hash rate had plummeted. I'm like, you can make $16 a day, like YOLO. Yeah. So I realized how deep that pool was, and had to learn how to swim out of there. And, we ended up building the whole thing. And so that's kind of how I get my bills paid these days. But I had no idea what I was going to, I met that first night, I met Ben, Fabio, and then John, who's in Austin now. He works at Unchained. The 3 of us, with Jack as well, one of our OGs, but he didn't end up staying out that late. We ended up closing down the first place that we had our social at, and then we went to the next bar and closed that place down because we had all moved back into Tampa at the same time. Fabio's from Orlando. I'm not going to dox everyone, but just Fabio, I guess. So we had all moved back into Tampa kind of around the same time or a little sooner. And it was just, we were ping ponging off each other, like everything. It was just instant best friends. And then, the group just started coalescing into something real. And it got to the point where, we were like, all right, well, this is fun, but I'm kind of sick of circle jerking about Bitcoin with a bunch of dudes, every Thursday. What are we doing? What are we doing here? Yeah. So that's when we were calling ourselves Bitcoin Bay, but that's when we're like, okay, no, we need direction, so that's kind of, that's the role that I've taken since I have all the time. Yeah. So wait, did you quit your job and then just come down here and then kind of figure out that you were going to start Bitcoin Bay, or? I quit, September of 21. That was supposed to be the start of the severe winter of death. So I was it was the winter of death and despair, I think. Yes. Right? Yes. So through COVID, I had been in crypto from 2017 to until the trucker protest. And then I was like, oh, okay, no, it's Bitcoin. Yeah. Whether or not that was handled perfectly is another story, but you couldn't lose money. Like when the easy money, everything was going up and up and up. And just, I had a bunch of stuff that just sat for 2 or 3 years, and then it would get pumped and I would dump it and then it would crash. Another one. So I had some savings. So I was like, I'm going to move with my parents for a couple months, see what the new year brings, see if the severe winter of death happens. Maybe home prices will be cheaper. Surprise, it didn't, thank God. So yeah, I just quit and moved down here without a plan. my degree is, easily hireable. So
Yeah.
like if everything went to shit, I could have just gotten a job. There's a couple engineering firms down here I looked at. But whenever we started doing, but then I started, mining, and I was like, this is fun. So I'm extending my runway.
Yeah.
And then there was never really like a conscious decision to like, this is what we're doing now. It was just, this is what we're doing now. Like we're already here. Like our group became like so big, and we just kept getting like new guys that are coming in. This year especially, we've been leveling up. Like every month we get like at least 1 or 2 new guys who really know their stuff, are really plugged in, and it just moves us another. It's like a step function.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, there was no, I'm the director, and you're the director of this and director of that, and someone called me. Gabe called me. He introduced me to someone, Sam Arms at FBBA. He was like, "Yeah, here's Wesley, our executive director." And I was like, "Ooh, I like that now. Yeah. I like that title."
This is me now.
Yeah, I'm like, I guess it is what I am. So then we started the business workshops. We're starting to do all this stuff. So I'm just like, if I can make a living on this, this is what I want to do. I want to build Bitcoin Bay. I mean, if we can be the brain for Bitcoin in the Bay Area, I mean, there's 6 million people here.
Yeah.
Our goal is to catch like 1 million of them, and turn them into Bitcoiners.
Damn. Yeah. I mean, you guys are pushing the efforts forward like crazy. I mean, Fabio was telling me that he was like, I forgot what it was. Like, you bought a beer off of somebody during Gasparilla of all places, like with Bitcoin. And it's like, oh my God, like when people are drunk as hell, like dressed up as pirates.
Yeah.
And you're thinking about that, dude. That's the last thing that was on my mind at that point in time.
I got some kids to sell us. They were selling some stuff off the side. I bought like 4 Celsius from them with Bitcoin.
Oh, that's awesome.
They were like, what is it? I'm like, just download the app, kid. Yeah. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So it's everywhere. We don't stop.
Yeah.
And like I wake up at like 7:30. I already got messages from Fabio, and then like I respond to him. I hit the gym. I come back. We work, and then it's like 10 o'clock at night, and then we're like, all right, well.
Yeah, that's what just like coming to see you guys, because I mean I went to the Gabe's meetup and everything, and he does a good job, and he gets a lot of people together and all that, so I'm not gonna sit here and rip on him or anything like that, or try to compare and contrast. But the one thing I did notice was like Gabe obviously has block spaces, right? So he's working and grinding at that, but I mean your passion behind all this stuff is just really what I mean drove me to what you guys are doing here. I was kind of talking to that when I was talking to Ben too. And it's just, I mean, it's inspiring to see, to say the very least. So I guess, what do you, project Bitcoin Bay? Like what, and I know you said you want to onboard like 1 million of the 6 million people. I guess, what do you project for the rest of the year? Like what are the goals that you want to kind of get set up? And like by 2024, this time, where do you want Bitcoin Bay to be at?
Yeah, so we have a roadmap. 4 meetups. I was thinking Clearwater, St. Pete, Sarasota, Tampa, kind of the main area. We're gonna have we're launching the Bitcoin Bay St. Pete this week.
Yeah.
We have our friends the Bitcoin Key Club down in Sarasota. So I'm like, great, I don't have to do that. Yeah. And there's us, but we're gonna be doing this Riverview chapter now. So maybe we're gonna have 5. I mean, I don't know in Clearwater yet. So
yeah.
So on that end, 4 or 5 meetup chapters in the area, getting our filing done and getting our 501c3 status, getting boot camps in some schools. I want to have 5 boot camps done by the end of the year, which shouldn't be too hard.
Yeah.
What else? We are going to have a Beef Initiative Food Intelligence Summit in January of 24.
Awesome.
Yeah. No, so I'm very excited about that as well.
I'm getting hungry thinking about that.
It's a Circle 6 ranch over in Duet, Florida, is who we sold $3,000 worth of beef. Damn. When we did our launch party, all in Bitcoin.
Yeah. Shout out Circle 6.
Yeah,
that was delicious.
Yeah.
I still can't figure out how to cook this osso boko or whatever, and then the beef chunk I still have sitting in my freezer because it's just like all slow roasted. kind of stuff, and I don't have the patience, but I need to get on that. I mean, everything else, I was like, damn, this shit. I mean, it's worth it for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Getting more ranchers involved would be great. I would like to get on a couple of those. Expanding our business network, obviously. But yeah, those are the main ones. Those are the quantifiables. 5 boot camps, 4 or 5 chapters, and then our 501c3.
Yeah. And then, so where do you see Tampa fitting in into this, I guess, Bitcoin ecosystem?
Mm-hmm.
So we have, Austin. When I was down there, I was calling it like essentially like the Mecca from what I can tell. Right?
Oh, yeah,
they have Pleb Lab. They have a bunch of mining areas. They have Bitcoin Commons a mile away from Pleb Lab, and all this other stuff. Houston, big into energy, not too far down the road. And then there's Nashville that kind of has like the media hub with Bitcoin Magazine.
Mm-hmm.
There's Miami, which seems to be a little bit more crypto centric, but that's where, conferences are and kind of, I guess a hub, so to speak. So Tampa's not too far up the road from there. So where do you see Tampa mixing into, I guess Bitcoin in the United States?
Yeah, we're going to be the vacation spot for Bitcoiners. We've got some of the best beaches in the world. We're going to have a robust business network, meetups all over the area. If you're going to be a Bitcoiner and you want to come vacation on Bitcoin, you're going to come here. You're going to come to businesses and restaurants that take your Bitcoin and hold it. They don't just dump it for dollars, and you're going to be able to go to a meetup while you're here. So like that's kind of our main goal for that. I mean, because we're not going to try and outcompete Austin or Nashville. Like they have a venture fund behind them essentially. Since
yeah.
But I mean, shout out to 1031. I mean, they the amount of capital they deployed into this space is phenomenal. And OpenSats, give Ben money because we're building Bay wallets.
Yeah,
we're building Bay wallets so we can have all of our local merchants on there. There'd be a map, kind of an Oshi kind of deal, and then a Nostra relay built in. So it's kind of like a town square wallet app for the Bay Area. So give Ben money, please.
Yeah. So talk about Bay Wallet, because I actually just I like retweeted and whatnot, and so for those listening, if you want to check it out, you can either find it retweeted by me or Bitcoin Bay or Benny Hoddle, I believe is his handle. So talk about like the goal behind that, and I know you're not the dev behind it or anything, so you don't have to go into the full details, but you talked about like the circular economy of Tampa Bay and how you want, businesses, food, all that kind of stuff. So where do you think, like, why build a Bay wallet for all of this?
Well, Ben wanted to build a wallet, but I think it's going to be using LDK. So it's going to be, ready for all of like the LDK kits that come out and like all of the implementations. Like I think like BitKit, I think is going to be is like with the slash tags, so like there's a lot coming down the pipe in that ecosystem that I'm not the most aware of. So if someone is screeching right now, I'm sorry, but non-custodial Lightning wallet, business directory, Nostra relay. Are my understandings of the 3 main components. And also it's like a community project. So whenever we have our bit devs, we talk about the newest stuff, whatever's going on. And then we get into what's going on with Bay Wallet.
Yeah.
Getting design feedback and just incorporating, our community into actually building that wallet. If there's any devs out there in Tampa, please come. We need help. But also as an internship opportunity for maybe some computer science courses for college students. You can come work on a project and you can see it. This is your portfolio now. Like you did this. You helped do it.
Yeah, like a GitHub page now.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, it's definitely Ben's project, and that's probably all I know about it.
Yeah. Well, we're looking for interns here, dude. I mean, we were talking about it a little bit, and I've mentioned it in a couple of things. The water heater project, dude. We gotta start building that out. I mean, we have some local pleb miners. Shout out to Barn Miner and others here. That I think like that could be another aspect of what we do down here. I don't know anything about mining, so I can't really get into it like too much, but essentially trying to use the heat. I mean, it's hot as hell down here. So I mean, we're right now. Yeah, I know. I was sweating walking my dog today like crazy, but so we don't necessarily need it to heat the homes, but houses need hot water. They need other things like that. So I think that's another aspect where we can, start to implement that, because I mean, like you said, like we've talked about before, like Tampa home prices, like all these other things, they're getting so damn expensive around here. I don't know. For me, I'm like, I need to find how to get every single dollar out of every house that I buy down here. Like if I want to build like a real estate portfolio or something, like I need to figure out how to, not only just get rent, but all right, like maybe have somebody else pay for Bitcoin for me if they're not going to pay me in Bitcoin for rent or something like that, So I think there's definitely like a lot of other things that, I can see that you guys will come up with and all that other kind of stuff. So, but on that note, you've been very generous with your time today. I know you gotta run here because you still got other meetings down the line later today. So why don't you tell people where they can find you and what else you got going on in the near future?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely want to work on that home miner hot water heater project. I mean, shout out to Schnitzel and Nakamoto Heating. I think we'll be seeing you in Miami.
Yeah.
Because that's super cool. I mean, I think that's a fantastic way of democratizing the hash rate, just embedding it at the utility level, like at the heater level, because you can't spy on that at the utility level. Like you can't be like, oh, they're mining here because they have a 9,000 kilowatt hour bill.
Yeah.
Because it uses kind of a similar amount of power to the hot water heater while it's on. So like it's just come and unplug it.
Yeah.
Which has become kind of one of my new mottos recently.
That's awesome. I actually really like that.
Yeah, maybe someone should maybe Ellen Prince should get some stickers made.
Yeah.
But what do I have going on next? What is it? Miami. Obviously, we're gonna be down in Miami, so come say hi.
Do you have a booth or something like that there?
No.
Or no? I think there's like a meetup section or something like that. Last time I was there was like I don't know. You could probably like join in down there, but yeah.
I'll be one of the dudes in floral shirts. That's kind of my brand. So people can find me.
You shaved the mustache, dude. I mean, did you shave it because you were coming down here you're gonna be on camera or what? Like what?
No, I wanted to keep it from Miami. And then I forgot I did that. I wanted to keep it from Miami, and it was like I just looked in the mirror. I was like, I'm over it, and I got rid of it. And I was like, I immediately regret this.
Yeah.
So I'm babyface now. I was wanting to have the mustache from Miami and then shave it afterwards. So people couldn't recognize me, so I could kind of be incognito. But alas,
get like the Just for Men. Just start like,
okay. I'll just scribble something in. But yeah, no, we'll be in Miami. Really looking forward to that. Meeting everyone. The talks seem a little iffy, but the networking is really what it's about. After that, we're just gonna keep pressing. You're gonna see a lot more of us all over the socials, for better or worse. Fans and haters alike, engaged,
friends and enemies, right?
Yeah. But
what's the handle? It's Bitcoin Bay
at Bitcoin Bay TPA.
TPA.
Yeah, TPA is the Tampa airport code. So that's kind of our because there is a Bitcoin Bay in Toronto.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, they're B catchers though.
Bitcoin Bay in Toronto. Is Toronto known as the Bay? I honestly, when we said Bitcoin Bay, I would think like San Francisco, but I don't think like
Nah, California is.
I mean, there's a lot of surprisingly there's like a decent amount of Bitcoiners in California.
I know the Bitcoin Reading Center guys are pretty heavy pretty heavy hitters.
I think like the Ronin Dojo guys are out there too. I mean, I've had some guys that like have been really big into privacy. I mean, makes sense.
Yeah, in California.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, take over your state, guys.
Yeah.
Come on, what are you waiting for? But yeah, I mean, we're have our first family event here at a local berry farm. They're Bitcoiners down there. Bob's Berries in Riverview. They do pick stuff. So we're gonna have a family event. Is probably our next major event. We're gonna start spinning up some community service stuff here pretty soon. And just starting to build those relationships with the schools during summer. Maybe do some summer courses, some summer camps for some kids. Like we are definitely we're building this thing as we're flying it.
Yeah. Well, summer's coming up here, right?
It's here. Yeah. I mean, UT just finished their exams last week, and I'm pretty sure everyone else is kind of following suit, and the traffic's gotten a little bit less in the afternoons.
Amen.
But I mean, we've got a lot coming down the pipe.
Cool. Well, great stuff. We'll have to have you back on at some point in time. Maybe bring Fabio or somebody else too. So. All right, Ben. Excuse me. All right, Wes. Thanks so much, man. Follow Bitcoin Bay TPA on Twitter. Check them out on the event. What is it? The Meetup.
Meetup.com.
Meetup.com. And BitcoinBay.live.
Live. BitcoinBay.com is a gambling website.
Yeah, BitcoinBay.live. BitcoinBay.food.
BitcoinBay.farms. That's where you can buy produce from my garden.
Yeah.
or our beef boxes.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a bunch of little branches off of that. So yeah, be sure to hit them up.